Happy Monday to you. Okay, so start by, surprise, surprise, choosing a posture. One of the, I'm convinced, one of the secrets to humor is just repetition. If you repeat the same thing enough, it becomes funny. Or it's maybe also the secret to probably to religion as well. Probably not a big difference between most religion and most comedy. Um, so we always, start by choosing a posture. But you can also notice how can you have options there. If I say choose a posture, you can maybe there's a part of your conditioning that just says, oh yeah, here we go again, doing that thing, blah blah blah, whatever. But the other and other, I mean, I suppose there are many options, but an other option is you could be curious. What am I doing? What? How do I do that? How how could I choose a posture? What does that even mean? I'm inviting you to that option, to actually be curious about it, and not as an intellectual exercise to arrive at the right answer, because hey, here's a secret. You will never arrive at the right answer. The moment you think you've arrived at the right answer, as long as you're being honest, what happens? You know what happens, because you've been through this before. You get to the what we think, oh, I finally got to the right answer, and then the rug's pulled out from under you and you realize, I don't know what the right answer is. So there's for most of us, an overdeveloped part of our self that is very fixated on getting the right answer and is convinced that the right answer is the source of salvation. But what I'm interested in and inviting you to is an honest exploration. So choose a posture. And so in choosing a posture, you get to, if you're really sincere about it, you get to notice all of your conditioning. It just presents itself to you. How do I, oh, well, there I'm doing it. I'm getting it right. Okay, I got it right. Well, how do you know you got it right? Or you say, oh, I can never get it right. Poor me. Never get it right. So there you go. You're seeing that. That's the point, is whatever you are observing, you are discovering that you are not defined by that. So we'll do maybe something a little different today. If it's comfortable for you, then let's start by closing the eyes. and become aware of some part of yourself, your physical body. And I'm leaving that up to you because that will be just fine, whatever is appropriate for you. So just allow yourself to become aware of some part of your body. And if you're one of those people who constantly looking for the best thing, the right thing, and you can't decide, should I be focused on this part or that part? Just choose one. It doesn't matter. So just bring your attention to that part of your body. And I don't care if you keep your attention highly focused or not. It's not that important. So this is very low pressure. This is not about having intense focus. You don't have to, there's no pressure, very light. So you're having your attention on this part of your body. And now here's my question to you is, how do you know that your attention's on that part of your body? Now you could try to think about that, but don't try to think about it. Just observe. Just notice. How do you know? So let me phrase that in a different way and see if that changes anything for you. What is it that you're actually noticing? What are you actually aware of? So I said, be aware of this, whatever part of your body that you're choosing. But what is it you're actually noticing? Are you noticing that part of your body? Or are you noticing something else? Maybe you might say that you're noticing sensation, or maybe you call that feeling. You probably, if you're really observing clearly, you might notice that you're also noticing thought, a thought that says it's that part of your body. Might not be in words, of course. So not all thoughts are in words. But there's something that suggests to you that your attention is on a particular part of your body, and I would say that that's a thought. So there's aware of sensation. If you're not aware of any sensation, how could you know that you're aware of anything physical? Usually we associate the sensation with the physical. So you're aware of a sensation. You're aware of a thought that says that this sensation indicates or is located in a particular part of your body. You might be also aware of, we could call it an image, like a map. So this tells you that your attention is on this particular part of your body, and that part of your body is somehow connected to and associated with other parts of your body. So it's above another part of your body, or below another part of your body, or to the right of another part of your body, or to the left of another part of your body, or in front of or behind. So you've got this image, or you could say a spatial mapping. So you're aware of these things. But where's the part of the body? Are you actually aware of the part of your body? Can you even be aware of the part of your body? In fact, are you sure that there is a part of your body? So when we start from the part of the body and we take that to be, let's say, our primary reality, that's the starting point, that's what's fixed, then we link everything to that. And because it's fixed, it goes unquestioned. So we've got all these other moving parts, and we don't really question the thing that's fixed at the center. But take a look and see, is there actually a part of the body? I mean, as far as you're actually able to be aware. Or is the part of the body just an inference? We infer that the part of the body exists because these other phenomena are seeming to exist. So we seem to be aware of these other phenomena. And then we say, oh, well, they're proof of this part of the body. Well, let's play around with this. So if you start with this part of your body as the fixed point around which everything else moves, then you're constantly having to play this not so pleasant game of trying to organize and arrange and fix and solve and resolve and so forth in such a way that this part of your body can finally be okay, finally be safe, relaxed, whatever you're looking to achieve. Now, let's look at it differently, or let's perceive it differently. So notice that when I say this part of your body, that is that phrase, this part of your body is actually just a placeholder. It's not actually there is no thing itself, but rather that phrase is really just referring to the associated phenomena. So when I say this part of your body, and I say bring your awareness to this part of your body, then you can notice the associated phenomena. Maybe somewhat challenging to do with all the other sound phenomena. So now we can play around a little bit. I mean, maybe you've already noticed something happening, but we could play with it a little bit consciously. So this part of your body, and remember that that's just a pointer now to the associated phenomena. So you can notice that there's a kind of emptiness there, where what used to seem so real and solid, now there's kind of emptiness, but there's these associated phenomena with nothing to really hold them together. And without something holding them together, then we are free to introduce change more readily. So notice now the sensation. Notice that it's maybe out of habit, you just automatically link the association with the other phenomena. It's just automatic. As soon as you bring your attention to that sensation, instantly the image and the thought enter your mind so that they all appear linked together. So there's the sensation, but it seems as though it's linked to the image and the thought. And of course, there may be associated memory. So particularly, let's say if this sensation is one that you think of as unpleasant, then you may have also linked to that memory where you say to yourself, well, yeah, I remember it's been like this. It's been like this for months or years or my whole life. It's never not been like this. This part of my body is just like this. Or I remember when it first happened. Or I remember the time it got worse. So you can see that those are also just associated phenomena, memory, but there's nothing at the center that it actually links them to any of the other phenomena. So if we really look clearly, then what's possible to recognize is that all of the phenomena are actually independent, and we can peer into them independently. So again, just become aware of the pure sensation and don't work to try and keep any of the other phenomena away. So it's okay that they may still be linked. It's totally fine that they may still arise. Don't make any strenuous effort to push anything away. It's fine that it arises, but just be aware to the best of your ability of the pure, raw sensation, just as it is. And notice that that sensation actually, here's an interesting thing, doesn't actually have a location. Now, you probably can't think your way to that because all the thinking is still linked for most of us to the image and the thought and the memory. It tells us it has a location. I know exactly where it is. It's that part of the body. But notice that actually you don't have any real proof of that. So just open to this realization to the best of your ability, and understanding that it will be imperfect, and that's okay. But just open to that discovery that the sensation has no location. Now, you could also notice that you, out of habit, have linked other qualities to that sensation. You probably have habitually linked a size to it. It's either big or small. And notice that you could play with that. You could make it bigger. Make it bigger, 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 bigger. And then you could make it smaller. Make it smaller, 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 smaller. You could move it up. You could move it down. You can move it forward. You can move it backward. You can move it any which way. And you can notice whatever other qualities you may associate with the sensation. So depending on how you perceive the sensation. Of course, that will be different for each person. Maybe you perceive it as pleasant, or maybe you perceive it as unpleasant. Maybe you perceive it as being sharp, or maybe you perceive it as being dull. Maybe you perceive it as being light or tight, rather. Maybe you perceive it as being loose. Any qualities, just notice the qualities that you associate with it and just play with them, and notice that actually you don't know for sure that those qualities that you associate with it are the truth of it. So now the sensation, actually, we can be curious about what on earth is the sensation actually. If we start to notice that the sensation, before we were probably certain that there was a sensation, but we start to look at it and realize that the sensation, what is it apart from the qualities that we associate with it? Is there actually something there? So we can notice all the qualities, and then notice that actually those qualities are malleable. They can change. They do change. So where is the actual sensation? Okay, so now, again, be aware of that part of your body. Maybe that's uh, somewhat more challenging to do, but just be aware. And still, I'm using that phrase, that part of your body, as just a way of pointing to the associated phenomena. And notice what's changed. Probably quite a lot has changed. Maybe you notice that that part of your body, so-called, there's still an image, maybe. Notice if that image has changed. Hopefully that image has changed, and hopefully it's a more functional image. So if the image before was one of incapacity, hopefully you have an image of greater capacity. Or if you had an image of restriction, or I should say unnecessary restriction or uncomfortable restriction, hopefully you have an image of greater ease and freedom. But just notice that there's an image probably, and maybe that image is morphing. Maybe it's changing and you can't really get a clear sense of it anymore. That's probably to be expected. Then notice that you can just allow yourself to continue to allow that image to morph. You can just let go of the gripping and the insistence of that image as being the truth. And you might be surprised to discover how different your perception becomes just through your willingness to allow that image to shift, release. And again, you can be aware of, well, at this point, just be aware of whatever you're aware of. And notice if there are any thoughts. And again, the thoughts don't have to be words, but they're what give meaning to the experience. So you can just be aware of the meaning making that is happening, where you have a judgment or an evaluation of the phenomena as good or bad or right or wrong or whatever. And just be aware of that. And you can notice how those judgments or evaluations are linked in your conditioning with certain types of reactions. So you can notice that there are subtle and in some cases not so subtle movements. And you can start to notice that up to now they've been involuntary, but you can be aware of them and recognize them. They're familiar to you. You know them because you've been, albeit unconsciously or subconsciously, indulging them, probably most of them for most of your life. So they're intimately familiar to you, but you were not consciously aware of them. And now you can be consciously aware of them. And in being consciously aware of them, you have this remarkable power, which is that you can inhibit. So these actions or reactions, the movement away or toward, me too, but I'll help. Or the contracting are actually all within your voluntary control. And many of these are happening at subtle levels that you hadn't maybe ever been consciously aware of, but now you can be consciously aware of them. It just requires that you continue to be present. And then you can choose your power of inhibition, so that as you become aware of those habits, those reactive habits, you start to notice that they're happening at a very, very subtle level. They're so subtle that you may not really be able to clearly distinguish between whether it's happening physically or mentally or emotionally or who knows what. Can't really tell. Because at the subtler levels, they all start to kind of converge. So you're witnessing subtler levels of experience. And at these subtler levels of experience, you, of course, have much greater leverage than you do at a grosser level of experience, because at the grosser level, there's more differentiation, more momentum, more solidity. But at this subtler level, where things are less differentiated, you can exercise this power of inhibition much more easily, so that it's like watching little tiny bubbles starting to bubble up, and but they never comes to this rolling boil. It's just a gentle, tiny little bubbles. You just watch them. So at this subtler level of experience, perhaps you can start to notice where all of this is happening and what your relationship to it is. So you can start to ask yourself some questions like, is this happening inside of me or outside of me? So for example, are the sensations happening in me, or are the sensations happening outside of me? Most of us will easily recognize that the sensations will say, oh, they're happening inside of me. Okay, but what about the sounds? Are the sounds happening inside of you or outside of you? So you can notice that the sounds are, we can look at the sounds in much the same way that we looked at the other phenomena earlier, and you can start to notice what is the sound. So there are qualities to the sound. You say it has a location, has a pitch, a duration. We could probably come up with other qualities, but then notice, well, what is the sound itself? Is there actually a sound itself, or apart from these qualities, or are the qualities, the accumulation of qualities, really just collectively what we take to be the sound, but there's no actual sound? Hopefully that's clear. There's no actual sound. There's just a collection of qualities, and those qualities vary from so-called sound to sound. So we say that there are different sounds, but all of the so-called different sounds are just really variations on the qualities. Well, where are these qualities happening? Are the qualities happening inside of you or outside of you? What's your actual experience? Is there actually an outside of you right now? if your eyes are closed, then hopefully it's easier to recognize that you cannot actually find an outside of you right now. So what you're left with is that there are qualities that are happening, and for convenience sake, we could say inside, but there actually isn't an inside or an outside. There's neither. There's a unified whole. And these qualities are occurring seemingly within that. So then what's the actual difference between what we call a sound and what we call a sensation? Well, not so much. Hopefully that's clear. So we're left with this unified whole, at least so long as we have our eyes closed. So we've got sound, what we call sound, what we call sensation, what we call thought, what we call memory, and so forth, all of these so-called different phenomena. But actually, when we look at them directly, what we're left with is just that there are collections of qualities. These qualities are all occurring like a soup inside of this unified whole. And we could even look at those qualities themselves. And what are the qualities themselves? Really nothing more than vibration. So who are you? Well, we don't need to go too far into that, but hopefully it becomes clear that at the very least, who you are is aware of these vibrations. And rather than these vibrations being some solid thing that is affecting you, you are aware of these vibrations that are occurring in this unified whole. And it's really only your reaction to these that you care about. And guess what? You get to choose whether you indulge the reactions or not, because as you hopefully have seen at this subtle level, before any of the reactions, which are themselves only vibrations, have achieved any kind of real coherence, they could go any direction whatsoever, including simply just dissolving. So they could go into this direction that is familiar to you, the direction of pain, discomfort, unhappiness, and so forth. Or they could just resolve back into the unified whole. So we can practice just allowing them to resolve into the unified whole. So it's just these little fluctuations, subtle fluctuations that we can observe and allow them just to dissolve and resolve back into the unified whole. Of course, we're probably going to choose to re-enter the grosser levels of experience, put on the costumes and take on the roles and all the rest of it. So what good does this do us? Well, let's take a look. So first of all, we can exercise our power of inhibition at a very subtle level because it gives us the greatest benefits. So the more in touch we are with that, the more practiced we are at that, the more familiar we are with that, the easier it is for us to access that, so that we can simply let go. We can be aware of ourselves and all of the arising phenomena at a subtler level, so that those things that habitually condense into or coalesce into those habits that we recognize as being unpleasant and unproductive and harmful, we can simply allow those to dissolve. So you can become more and more familiar with the habits of reactivity, the tension, the anger, the frustration, all the rest of it. And you can be aware of it at a subtler and subtler level, so that you can just allow it to resolve before it condenses. So that's one benefit. We call it a practical benefit to in the field of condensed experience. And then we can also benefit from this because we can actually begin to give direction to how these phenomena take shape, so that when we touch upon this subtler level, we can notice that there is it's a field of possibility. So we can't say that it's going to go one way or the other until we give it that direction. It's only out of habit that we keep giving it the same direction, and then we say, see, there's the proof, that's just how it is. But at this subtler level, we can start to recognize that all experience that is occurring is mediated through our awareness. And so we actually get to participate in giving shape to it. So you can start to recognize the importance of having clarity about what you want, and then making choice to energize the pathways of what you want, so that the undifferentiated starts to be able to, like little rivulets that form, and as those are reinforced, then those become easier for the undifferentiated to start to differentiate into those directions. So if you don't know what you want, then it's all just haphazard. But if you know what you want, then you can start to direct things, encourage things in that way, not starting from the outside in, so to speak, but rather from the inside out. So let's look at that practically now. So we can all hopefully touch upon presently this undifferentiated field of possibility. There's things bubbling up, there are tendencies, you notice slight disturbances or agitations and your reactivity to that. But rather than being reactive, you can begin to actually be proactive. And I call this a blessing. So you can start here from this undifferentiated field and then begin to consciously bless. So start to form a new positive image, a new positive thought, a new positive sensation for yourself, and start to associate these. And you do this so simply just by blessing. So start with the inner body and have a sense of your organs, your internal organs, and choose to bless your organs so that your organs can have perfect functioning, so that your inner body can function harmoniously. So just choose to direct very lightly, just to direct this intention to bless your inner body and your organs, to bless your bones and your marrow, to bless your muscles and connective tissue. And you can also have an intention and direct that to bless your thoughts so that your thoughts can be harmonious. They can be guided from a greater intelligence, to bring about peace in your life, harmony in your life. You can bless your emotions. You can bless the sensations that you experience so that the sensations can be positive, harmonious, and pleasing to you. Bless your skin, bless your home, so that you can have a positive intention for your home. Your home is a sacred space, a safe place, a place of harmony and peace. Bless all those in your care, human, animal, plant. Bless the land you live on. And bless your vocation or your work in this world, even if you don't consciously know what that is. Bless it so that you can become conscious of it. Bless your family and your loved ones, near and far, even those who are deceased. Bless your friends, your neighbors. Bless your broader community in the place where you live. Bless the nation where you live. Bless all people working in all organizations. Hold a positive vision of people working harmoniously together for common goals of peace, well-being. Bless this entire earth from the core to the furthest outreaches of the atmosphere and all of her inhabitants. Bless all of the elementals, the water, the air, the fire, the minerals. Bless this entire universe and all of creation. And again, bless your body, and notice that blessing all of creation and blessing your body is not different. And be aware of your body from head to toe. So be aware of the scalp and the ears and the forehead and the back of the head, the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the tongue, the lips, the chin, the throat, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the hands and fingers. Be aware of the chest and the upper back, the abdomen, the lower back, the buttocks, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, tops of the feet, the toes, the heels, the ankles, and the soles of the feet. Be aware of your entire body from head to toe. And wiggle your fingers. Let your face be soft. Let your forehead be soft. Relax your tongue. Take a few breaths with awareness. Let them be gentle and relaxed, but do so with awareness so that you can feel the breath moving in your body, enlivening all of the cells of your body so you can perceive your entire body as one coherent body here and now, able to move, able to take positive action in this world. And when you're ready, slowly begin to open the eyes and take extra care to do so slowly and with awareness today so that you can let this be a really smooth transition from inner to outer. So I'm always surprised by what happens. And today, no less than any other day. And so this was pretty deep inquiry. And so very powerful anytime that we are that subtle. It's very powerful. It dissolves a lot and then there's a rebirth. So in the rebirth, there can be a kind of tenderness. So it's important to be gentle. Treat yourself like a newborn. Don't be so demanding. Don't push so hard. Let yourself receive. And know that, as I often say, that whatever happens is part of the healing process. So that doesn't end just because we open the eyes and move on to the next thing. The healing process continues, and the more awareness that you bring, the better. So what I mean by that is just be aware that, first of all, just be aware of what's happening. I don't mean have judgments and opinions, but be aware of the judgments and opinions too. But just be aware what's actually happening. So there are a lot of, you'll have thoughts and opinions and reactions, but what's actually happening? What's actually happening? You can hopefully see, if you put it in the context of today's inquiry, you can recognize, wow, what's actually happening is my habits of reactivity that I take to be the truth. And that's it. And this is really good news, because if I don't like that, I don't have to blame anybody else, and I don't have to wait for anything outside of me, so-called, to change. All I have to do is inquire and notice how it is that I'm holding on to something as a truth that's not actually true. And then there's the adjustment period. when the all of the old conditioning that was all attached to the thing that just got dissolved all comes up to say, yeah, hold on, wait a second, not so sure. So be prepared. Know in advance that stuff happens. Stuff's going to come up. And the opportunity is to celebrate it. The opportunity is to have gratitude. The opportunity is to recognize that it's part of the healing process, so that I'm having the right experience at the right time. Whatever it is, even if my mind is going crazy saying, this is the worst thing ever. You can use the inquiry to bring it back to the subtler, bit by bit. You just let, if you imagine, it's just like a stone sinking. Just let it sink and it will settle. Don't worry about it. Just let it sink. And then eventually it comes to rest, and you are at this the subtlest field, and all of the stuff is, you're aware at the subtle level, and you just continue to let it, it's bubbling, a little agitation. Just let it, and it all works itself out. But it requires your participation, because if you just zone out, go into the usual habits, it's pretty easy to predict what the outcome of that will be. So point being is really deep. Whatever you think your experience was, it's very, very deep. So what that means is a lot gets cleared, but that's a process that takes place. So you have to have the patience for it and continue to be present. Otherwise, all that's going to happen is it's like, sort of like, here's a metaphor. It's like your house is a mess, and I know nobody sweeps anymore, but they got their whatever devices. But imagine in the old days, you sweep. Okay, you sweep everything. You sweep the whole house, and you get this big pile of stuff. And then it's like at that point, if you just say, "Okay, did all the work done," then what? Well, it's just going to be redistributed everywhere. So the last step, the actual disposal of that, is what takes place over time. And in order for that to occur, it requires your ongoing presence, patience, commitment. And that's where it's so important just to remember this is also part of the healing process. So whatever it is that's happening, I'm being shown the residual stuff, just all the stuff that I missed, the residual stuff that's being swept out the door. So just have faith, be patient, be gentle, forgive yourself, accept yourself, because you're going to see all the stuff that you suppressed, all the stuff you rejected, all the stuff that you said, "Oh, not me." You think all the stuff that you think is unforgivable about yourself, you're going to see it. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And you don't have to be perfect. So just forgive yourself, accept yourself. Whatever happens, you want, if you want affirmation to say, I love myself, I accept myself, I forgive myself. Just whatever happens. Not as a way of justifying the in the Q&A, I'll get into that if you want. But not as a way of justifying bad behavior, right? It's not like you say, okay, I'm going to go hit somebody, and then I'm like, but it's okay because I love myself, I forgive myself, I accept myself. No. I mean, yes, I love myself, I accept myself, I forgive myself, even though I indulged in bad behavior, and I commit to being more aware, more present, and more patient so that I don't do it again. Okay. So, fine line. But I love myself, I accept myself, I forgive myself. And even though I have these bad habits, even though I think these terrible things, even though I have all of these difficult feelings, even though I have all of these negative fantasies, even though I'm a misanthrope, whatever, So be gentle with yourself and with others. Be patient with yourself and with others. Be kind to yourself and with others. Always yourself first and then others. Because if you put others first and you're overlooking yourself, that doesn't work out. It has to be both. Put yourself first. Take care of yourself and then take care of others. Be kind to yourself and then be kind to others. And anybody who's ever really in a pinch, you can, this is mostly for the people watching on YouTube, you can email me. The rest of you know how to get in touch with me. Okay. So I'm going to end the recording now.